And welcome back to the TSF Entertainment channel. It is your boy Retro CG, and I am joined tonight by the beautiful and lovely co-host, Miss Really BTV.
I'm
Well,
beautiful
she
and lovely. Okay.
well, I was just getting ready to say you're only lovely half of the time, but for the most part, you're lovely.
See how you always see? See?
I'm just joking.
Anyway, you couldn't just leave it at that. You couldn't just leave it at beautiful and lovely.
I'm
Anyway,
just
moving
joking. You're
on.
lovely all the time. Yes, you are. So
Yeah,
we've been
yeah,
gone
whatever.
for a minute.
Anyway.
We've been gone for a minute, so we're back. We're here to talk about The Best Man, the final chapters. This was a bit of a surprise, a lovely surprise. So, we're going to do our review for this limited series a little bit different than everyone else is doing. Everyone else is doing the full show because I guess everyone binged it at the same time, just like we probably did. But we want to do it episode by episode. So, we're going to start off with episode one, Paradise. Before we jump into the episode, I'm going to go ahead and hit you with that intro, and we'll be back to talk about it. And welcome back. So, The Best Man, the final chapters. First thoughts.
I mean, I'm gonna say this. A lot of times with sequels, it's hard to get everybody. The fact that they've been able to get everybody for three consecutive movies, I think that's a great thing that they've been able to get all the original actresses. They didn't have to replace anybody. Mia's character, she died in the second movie, but I don't think that's because she didn't want to do her character was in the whole movie. Just her character, died. So I just think I think
And they
that's
even
great.
did flashbacks of
The
her and
only
still talked about her in the new series.
That's
So, yeah,
true.
I agree. I
That's
agree.
true. Yeah, I'm only in episode one. I did not binge it. I purposely stopped after episode one, but so far so good. I mean, I'm not crazy about certain things that I'm seeing, but I'm gonna wait and see how they play out. I'll put it that way.
Um, I'm equally pleased that the entire cast got was brought back. They didn't have to recast anyone. They didn't write anyone off. They didn't. No one showed up. And even though it's a limited series, 8 episodes, you have to imagine that everyone's still working. And I'm sure there was schedule conflicts with them trying to shoot in various locations and everything. So the fact that they got everyone together, it was great to see the entire cast. Great to see the entire cast. Um, so we're going, like I said, we're not going to talk about the entire series. We're going to jump in on episode one. I think there's a lot for us to. I felt like we were going to spend a lot of time on episode one anyway because we had the recap from 1999 where the franchise first started with the Best Man movie, and it kind of. Do you feel like it left off on a cliffhanger in '99?
Not really, because honestly, no, no, he didn't. No,
I feel like
because
in
him
2013,
announcing that he's giving wasn't a cliffhanger for me.
right? Well, that wasn't until the Best Man Holiday. So then we have 2013. We have the Best Man Holiday. Now that was the sequel to the Best Man, and that one I felt kind of left off on a cliffhanger because Quentin called up the fellas and told them that he was getting married, and it went off. So we didn't know who he was getting married to. I assumed it was going to be Shelby because of their relationship from the previous movie, and even in this movie, I felt like it was going to be Shelby. But we had to wait all the way till 2014 slash 2022. We had to wait all the way to 2022 to get the Best Man, the final chapters. So we'll go ahead and jump in and talk about where this series picked up. So it gave us a recap at the beginning, um, the first two movies. So I was very pleased to see that for those of us who hadn't watched the movie in many years, like
Like
myself,
me.
yeah, like
Like me.
myself, hadn't watched the movie in many years. It was good to have that recap because what I did prior to starting the series is actually went back and watched both movies again, so I could just kind of be refreshed as the events in the movie. I feel like the writing was really good in both movies. I felt like there were some things that kind of was open ended, especially the relationship between Harper and Jordan was kind of open ended in the first movie, and they didn't really spend much time with it in the Best Man Holiday. It was kind of the ramifications between what happened with Lance and Mia and Harper, which we kind of saw there was still a little bit of bitterness between Lance and Harper with the whole Mia situation. But we also learned in the Best Man Holiday what kind of brought them back together was the fact that Mia was sick. And she chose to confide in Harper that she was sick, and she asked for him to continue to be there for Lance after she passed on. Um, so the best man, and I didn't remember, I guess because it had been so long ago, I didn't remember it ending so sad. But at the same time, we always often heard the old folks say that once a life is lost, another one enters the world, and we saw that with Harper and Robyn's child was being born, and Lance gave birth to it, and they named the little girl Mia. So that was really good. So the episode starts off with Harper. He's at some type of, what is he at? I don't think it's an award ceremony.
No, he's at a seminar. He's like
A
speaking.
seminar, yeah. He's at some type of
Yeah, he's
seminar.
like guest speaking or keynote speaking or something like that. Yeah.
Probably more keynote speaking, yes. And he kind of talks a little bit about his evolution to where he's at right now and the people that helped him get there, his friends, his family. And then he mentions his soulmate, and the camera pans to Jordan, which I thought that was very interesting.
Which is confusing.
Yes. I thought that was very interesting, but it's answered later on in the episode. So
this episode? In the first episode?
It's not answered in the first episode. It's answered.
Oh, okay. No. Okay. I was just okay. Cool.
So then we flash to Shelby, who's on Watch What Happens Live. I thought that was really funny because she's supposed to be a
cute. That was cute how they brought in the whole housewives thing. Yeah.
Yeah. What franchise is she supposed to be on? Is it Manchester, Real Housewives,
Long Island, or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we learned through the Watch What Happened Live with Andy and Shelby that announcement had just been recently made that Quentin was getting married, and Andy introduces her to the Siamora, Quentin's fiance, and we see Shelby has this huge dramatic meltdown. Look, when they showed that scene of her going up to his job and throwing stuff at him in that conference room, why did everybody a cookie? And Lucius and Empire.
Right.
The episode where she tore up the conference room.
It was very cookie, yes. It was very
cookie. Yeah, she was acting like Cookie. What were your first thoughts about how they brought that plot line in together?
I thought that was cute. Again, I thought it was cute the way they put that in. Watch What Happens Live. The fact that she had such an extreme reaction to him getting married, I thought was cute because, again, it just shows that even though they both tried to act real nonchalant, that the feelings were definitely there.
Right. Yeah, and it definitely showed that she had feelings for him, and the fact that he's getting married to someone else, she being that upset by it, that kind of gave me a prelude to what's getting ready to happen in the next episodes. That obviously there's going to be conflict between her and Quentin's new wife to be. So then it switches to Harper, who's at home. He's still celebrating some moderate success. It sounds like to his friends and his wife that he is successful, but as an artist, he doesn't feel like he's hit that level of success where he wants to be. He's kind of known for he's kind of typecasted for a certain type of writing, and he doesn't want to be recognized for that. He wants to be recognized as a true artist. We saw that he did the biopic, the biography for Lance, and is this bumper G series book that he's been writing. And then, of course, his first book that started all this mess was The Unfinished Business. Well, he gets a call from his publishing agent that lets him know that there is a movie studio that's interested in buying the rights for Unfinished Business, and they want to turn it into a movie. And he's kind of taken aback by that, but like, my first book, and obviously that first book was full of a lot of scandal and a bunch of mess and everything. So again,
caused a lot of problems within their friend group. Yeah.
Yes, big problems. And he kind of wants to evolve from that. Although this movie deal is set him up, to a different level of success financially. And, his agent is telling him, like, look, this is where you've been trying to go. You've arrived. You got to jump on this. You got to take this deal. So he discusses it with his wife. Well, actually, she discusses it with him. We see that she's still doing her cooking thing, and that she's pretty much kind of like a social media type online cooking. She's doing like hosting cooking type of content online. And Harper is like, look, this thing has taken off way bigger than what you thought it was going to take off to. I think you're going to need some help. And Robyn's like, no, I got this. Then she was like, well, talk to me about the book. And, he's kind of reticent about wanting to do the book. But she's like, listen, you might need to check with all your friends. You know where you need to go first, who you need to talk to first about all this. And, he recognizes immediately that, yeah, I probably need to talk to Lance about this first. And so what do you think we're at with Robyn and Harper?
I mean, I'm gonna just go ahead and be honest and tell you, I never liked them together. I always wanted him to get back with Jordan. I always wanted that for them. I'm not saying it just, the way the first movie was written, it just made me fall in love with the two of them as a couple and the possibility of the two of them as a couple. So I don't know. Like, I never bought them. Like, they never sold me as this loving, really in love couple. They didn't. They sold me as, we like each other and we're good for each other's careers and we could probably make a good life together. But I never bought passion. I never bought that they were. So honestly, I feel like that's just where they are. They've settled into a very comfortable life. She's doing great in her career. He's doing great in his career. They like each other. They get along really well. They're raising their daughter. But I just don't feel, even later on in the episode where, they have the whole sexy moment. I don't know. It was like, that's cute, but
not what I want to see. It's funny you should say that, because I felt the same way, even in the first movie, especially in the first movie when they were in the tub and, she was trying to hint around at commitment. And, he kind of like danced around the subject of commitment. It always came off as if Robyn was a replacement girl. She was just there.
Like it really did. And honestly, that's why the whole movie, and I probably shouldn't have been, but the whole movie, I was just really rooting for him and Jordan. Like, they built up this, him and Jordan were, that lost that the ones that should have been together. And so when the best man, when the second one rolled around, I was like, okay, we're going to see this conflict now. Maybe the two of them are going to break up. Like, but of course that's not what happened. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I just have to deal with the fact that they're never going to be. But I just never felt passion. Hold on, I'll be right back. Keep going. Hold on.
And I don't think it was very clear to us as to why him and Jordan never got together. I thought that would have been explained further on down in the movies, and they may have even explained it in the first movie, but I don't think they explained it in a way of understanding for me anyway, because I never did understand the reason why the two of them never hooked up. Because at the time they were kind of both single in a group of friends. You know, Lance had his big mistake with Mia. I get that, but Jordan wasn't seeing anyone else in the group, and she wasn't in a committed relationship. So I didn't quite understand what prevented them from actually being together as a couple. They never really made that very clear as to why um, Harper and Jordan never became a couple. So that's something I kind of want them to answer in this series. Um, and hopefully, as we get further down in the episodes, they will explain to us as to why Harper and Jordan never became a couple. But I agree with your sentiment, really, B. I think that I've never really kind of rooted for Robyn and Harper to be this power couple, even though they turned out to be a power couple. She's good for him. She's a good supportive wife, but I don't think that they have that passion. They don't have that chemistry. And I guess with Sanaya Lathan, she plays these roles very well, and I can't look beyond, even though this was way before that, but I can't look beyond A Family That Prays. I cannot look at her beyond A Family That Prays. I just see her as that type of woman in every relationship that she's in. She's that chick from Family That Prays. But I agree. I don't think that they share that passion, and I hope that they answer why they never actually became a couple. Um, do you feel like they answered that as to why Jordan and Harper never became a couple? What prevented them from being together?
Well, I'm only in episode 1, so I don't know.
I'm just talking about from the movies.
I mean, they didn't
I'm
do
just
for
talking
me.
about,
I don't think they did it. I don't feel like they did it in movie 1 or 2. No.
yeah, they didn't answer as to what prevented them ultimately from being together. So I'm hoping that's something that we get answered in this series. So we learned that they're going to have dinner with Candace and Murch, and I kind of like that chemistry between Robyn and Candace because we saw at the end of The Best Man, they kind of became kindred friends. They were kind of the last two in the group, and they had to kind of find their place in the circle of friends. So it's nice to see that they still have a organic relationship where they kind of hang out and look out for each other. I'm not gonna say they're best friends, but at the same time, they have a more sociable relationship than they do with the rest of the friends. So it's good to see that. We see that Murch and Candace are still together. They seem to be thriving. They're raising their two girls. They're both still in the education system. I think both of them are professors or teachers, something to that effect. And the ironic part about it is,
They have their
in the
own
previous,
school.
yeah, they have their own school, and I think they're getting ready to open two more. I think they announced that they were getting ready to open two more schools, and they're getting ready to receive an
Yeah.
educators award. Um, it seemed more like in the previous movies that Murch, this was more Murch's vision, his dream, his goals, and Candace is kind of fell in line with that, and she's kind of taken off with that. So she's really immersed in the education system, and we see further on what her was driving her motivation. So it's good to see that, and we see that her past that was kind of haunting them in The Best Man Holiday isn't so much of a issue in their relationship right now. So I'm glad to see that we've gotten past the fact that she was a stripper. So even though the daughter
Right.
mentions it, she didn't get upset about it. She kind of just played it off and like, well, this is mommy's undergraduate experience. So yeah, I was a stripper, but
Right.
she seemed to evolve from being that uh, hiding in that shame or that embarrassment of being a stripper through college. Um, but it's good to see Murch and Candace are still together, and they seem to be happy, and they seem to be the loving couple or whatever. But I guess I could say the same thing about them that we said about Harper and Robyn. I don't really feel the passion is there. I don't really feel that the commitment is there. I just think that maybe two broken people got together and they kind of found a way to heal each other and be there for each other. But uh, the only couple that I see in this, even with Mia and Lance, I really didn't see that passion and that lifelong love of my life. The only true passion that you see between any of the couples is really with Jordan and Harper. So then we have Shelby and Jordan. They're out to lunch, and they're talking about the invitations have came out. The save the dates have came out in regards to Quentin's wedding. We learned that it's a destination wedding, and of course Shelby wasn't invited. So Shelby's kind of in her bag and her feelings a little bit about not being invited to the wedding. And so she's kind of pumped. She's trying to pump Jordan for some information. Where's the wedding going to be? Who's the chick? And this, and that. And, Jordan's like, listen, you weren't invited. I don't want to get drugged into your mess. I really shouldn't even be talking about this with you, but you're my homegirl and everything. And, I really love this relationship between Jordan and Shelby, which I don't think we saw much of that in the previous movies. So
right, we
didn't see that because she was more of a bitch in the previous movies, especially the first one with her relationship with Murch. She was really nasty. So it's nice to see that they have an organic friendship as well. Any comments for you on that?
No, I just, like you said, it was good to see a different perspective, a different part of, different side of it,
Right. So Murch and Harper decide to go visit Lance to, one, check on him, two, to find out if he's going to Quentin's wedding, to try to kind of drag him. We still see that he's mourning the loss of Mia. So I think that their goal was to, kind of pull up on him and, do a temperature check. I think Harper even may have wanted to kind of discuss the movie deal, and they find him at this hotel. He's with some young ladies that are alluded to as being prostitutes or escorts, or as he say, his therapist, his masseuse. And
but this is the part that is the first part of that. Then again, I've only watched the first episode, but this is the part that I like. This I didn't like this at all. If this is supposed to be 2024, so we're talking about what, 3 years later, 4 years later, you're still mourning her to that point where you're
more like 7 years later.
Yeah, I mean, you're still mourning her like that. Again, if this were immediately, which first of all, I think I don't know why that said 2024, because I do feel like just the way that they were talking, I feel like this wasn't that long, maybe 2 years at the most, because their daughter, Tay Diggs and Sanaa Lathan's daughter is what, maybe 2 or 3?
Yeah,
when they showed her in that.
Yeah, I would say about maybe 2 or 3.
So I'm thinking this is like 2 or 3 years later. So I'm like, sir, and I get grief and all of that, but I don't know. I just didn't like the way this was written. But honestly, it takes me back to the first movie, where I always felt like Lance's character was very contradictory.
Yeah.
It was very much, I can do what I want to do, but you're not supposed to be able to do nothing. So like, you out here hoeing and sleeping with whoever you want to sleep with, but your wife was supposed to be a virgin. And when you found out, it was like a whole thing. And so now you out here just hoeing, sleeping around, and you're like, I just don't get over her. And again, I'm not judging how he's choosing to mourn. I'm just saying, at what point
or how long he's choosing
are you trying to move?
Right. Yeah.
Right, because you're not there for your kid. They allude to the fact that he's not really there for his kids, that this is just what he has sort of dissolved into. I don't know. Yeah. I just didn't like that, the way that was written. I felt like, I don't know.
Well, we see that he's just kind of passing his time. We see that he's kind of passing his time by. and he's just bed hopping and just he's not really to a point where he's ready to take control back of his life and be a single parent and move on and try to find someone else. He's still stuck in this. Mia was the love of my life and I lost her. But one thing I appreciate their confrontation in The Best Man Holiday, Mia basically told him as she was dying, like, listen, a lot of the anger that you have towards Harper really should be directed towards me. I'm just as responsible for what happened. I'm just as much to blame. I chose him. I wanted this to happen. So, you are so angry and unwilling to forgive him, but yet and still you seem to just ignore the fact that I was equally responsible for us having this affair. And at the time, I didn't realize that they were together. I just thought that they were kind of like, dating or maybe seeing each other at the point. Maybe I didn't realize they were in a serious committed relationship. They weren't married, obviously. So she pretty
Yeah,
much
but he
told
was
him
cheating on her. He was sleeping with other women.
that's what I was saying. So it's kind of like the pot calling the kettle black. And I think what we see with Lance right now is that it's a lot of guilt mixed with grief. That he never really did maybe the best in the marriage as far as monogamy and being in a committed relationship. And his wife died, and he's blaming his best friend for all the events that happened, which he has every right to be upset with his friend about what happened. But at the same time, your wife also shared a lot of that responsibility as well. So you can't just blame Harper for what happened. It takes two. So
Right.
we have a little a bit of a comedy moment with them. They kind of tease him about the prostitutes, and they try to convince him to clean himself up. He looks like crap. That come on, let's go to Quentin's wedding. This will be good for you. You'll be around people that care about you. You'll be there for Quentin's big day, just like he was there for your big day. And they eventually get him to agree to go on the trip or whatever the case may be. But Harper still sees that this is not the right opportunity or not the right moment to address the whole movie situation, which I felt like he should have just went ahead and confronted it head on. Because the longer it takes for you to tell him about it, the angrier he's going to be when you do tell him about it, because he's going to feel like you've been keeping it away from him. But it just wasn't the time or the place to address it. So I kind of understood why Harper chose not to have that conversation with him, but I didn't feel like he needed to wait much longer to have that conversation with him about that movie, because we already know that once Lance
Yeah.
finds out about it, he's going to flip.
And I feel like you should have learned your lesson the first time. You know better. Like, say it,
Yep.
get it over with, get
Get
it
it over
out
with.
there,
Yep.
and let's deal with what we need to deal with.
So we jump to them arriving at the island. And of course, Lance is sizing up the limo driver. She's giving him the eye too, so we already knew what that was getting ready to happen. We already knew what was getting ready to happen between him and the limo driver or whatever. They arrived to the resort, and the resort is beautiful. We learned that it's one of Quentin's family's properties, newest properties that they've opened at the island, and how they have chose to I'm not going to necessarily say market this, but they've spun this up into a PR campaign where he's marrying this supermodel. She's supposed to be a supermodel, a movie star, a singer, a songwriter, producer. I mean, she's got a lot of credits as to her being a celebrity. And so the hotel or the family brand is playing off of that. That the son, who's the heir to the throne, is marrying this big time supermodel, fashion extraordinaire, Seymour. And we learn she's played by the beautiful and lovely Miss Nicole Ali Parker, who I feel like hasn't aged a bit. She looks exactly the same as she looked in Soul Food. She's one of my favorite actresses. I really enjoyed her seeing
I
her.
feel like all of them look good.
Yeah, they all look good. They really do. They all look good. They look great. And the fact that I've saw all episodes. I'm just gonna say this. Truly, this is an ode to the 90s. I really felt like we were right back in Best Man. I really felt like we were, even though we're years past, maybe 20 years past when the first movie came out, it still gave me that feel. I guess it was because of it was the same cast. It was the same cast, and I loved how they did not change any of the direction or the characterizations of the characters. They pretty much are the same characters as they were in the very first movie. They've grown a little
Yeah.
bit, they've aged a little bit, but still we saw all the personality and the character portrayals were very original, and I was concerned about that. How were they going? What direction were they going to take the characters in? I think with Quentin, they've kind of, and we see that because even the friends comment on it that he's not the same Quentin. You know, he doesn't smoke weed anymore. He's taken upon almost kind of like this. Uh,
Hippie kind of thing.
yeah, this spiritual, I'm balanced with the universe type personality he carries right now, and I think more of that is centered around Seymour. And so she meets the first group of friends, which is Candace, Murch, Harper, and Robyn. And Robyn, I mean, Harper makes a comment, something to the effect of "your reputation precedes you," and she kind of digs into him like, "Well, you don't know me. How you know me?" We find out that
She was just yeah, yeah.
she was just teasing him or whatever the case may be. We see that Murch is in his feelings a little bit because he wasn't chosen to be the best
Lord,
man.
it ain't even a little bit. He is in his feelings all the way.
He is bad, real bad, ain't he?
I'm like, Lord have mercy.
Is it really that serious?
I mean, but for some people it is. Some people get very offended if they're not the ones asked to be the maid of honor or the matron of honor or the best man. Like there are people that get very, very offended by it. And it could be a hard position that when you have really good friends, it's hard to pick one. And you have your own reasons why you choose one over the other.
See, in instances like that, especially in a close circle of friends like this, I would have had to have two, which I actually had two at my wedding. I would have had to have two best men, just to please both of them and to make sure that one didn't feel slighted over the other. But you're right; it's a very tough decision to choose, and you may have reasons. More so, it's who's the more responsible one, who's the one that that you can depend on, and you may have a good friend that's a good time, but you also know that this person may not be the best responsible person, which I'm not saying that applies to Murch because I think he's the more responsible one out of all of them. But at the same time, like you say, you have your different reasons for why you choose who you choose. We see that Samora is this, she's got the sage and she's burning. She like to choke Candace to death with that sage or whatever.
Right.
Candace like, can I get some water? This lady is crazy.
Okay.
We see that Lance is begging out the limo driver's back. And,
Lord have mercy.
Harper from first sight ain't feeling some more. He's not feeling her. He was like, "What's going on with Quentin? He ain't even the same. And what's up with the outfit and stuff he got on and this personality?" And Robyn's like, "Well, people change over the years or whatever." And she's trying to distract him and get his mind off of you were chosen to be the best man. You just need to be there to support. But I can appreciate Harper's reaction to this because you've been with your friends for a long time and you know what they like and what they typically like. And when you see such a dramatic change with your friend, you can't help but be concerned: is this change for the better, or are you changing for the person that you're getting ready to marry? And I think that's what Harper's concern is. Is this truly Quentin has decided to change for the better, or is he changing to appease his new wife? Is he changing to satisfy his father? Is this an arranged marriage? So he has concerns from inception about where
Yeah,
we
and
at.
I see both sides of that coin because I think sometimes I see both sides of that because sometimes it's like, okay, well, I'm um I'm in a better place. I'm doing things. I'm a better person. or like you said, as a friend, are you changing to acquiesce and be what this person wants you to be, or have you truly evolved into this person and y'all met each other in that space? You know what I mean?
Right.
And as a friend, that's a hard space to be in because you don't want to come off as like you hating or you don't want your friend to be happy, but you also don't want to see your friend be somebody they're not just to try to be with somebody. So
That's
it's
right.
a hard that's a hard space to be in.
That's right. So we see Jordan is on the FaceTime with Shelby, and Shelby's kind of teasing her about the hotel. She's like, "Oh, the furniture is kind of cheap and tacky looking, whatever." And Jordan's like, "No, it's
I
not."
knew then. I knew then. I said she gonna show up because
Yep.
Shelby ain't supposed to be there.
Yep.
Nobody was supposed to tell Shelby where the wedding was. But when she was walking around and Shelby could see the background, I said Shelby gonna figure out where they are and she gonna show up.
Yep. And so Jordan's kind of like, listen, I ain't even supposed to be talking to you, and at this point I'm tired of you calling me. Stop calling me. So we knew that we know what Shelby's motive was. She was trying to find out where they were exactly.
Absolutely.
I totally agree with that. I said the same thing, or I thought the same thing. We also see that much hasn't changed with Jordan as far as her commitment with work. She's kind of overworked and not really taking enough time to herself. She's answering conference
Right.
calls while she's on vacation. And we see that she is committed to being successful in her job. And I already knew that that was going to lead to some stress for her later on down the line. We see that Lance finally makes it to the resort, and we see all the female admirers are, sizing him up. And the concierge that has been assigned to them that we got introduced to in the first scene where she came out and brought them the rum drinks or whatever, Jasmine and him, they kind of have this little flirtatious banter back and forth about American football versus their version of football or whatever. And, we kind of see that there's a little spark there that could be
Right.
something.
There's a little something there, yeah.
There's a little something there. I'm not quite sure what it is, but there's a little something there. We see that Harper and Jordan are now talking about the book. He's telling Jordan about the book, the movie, and he's still a little reticent about it. He's reticent about it not just because of his friend's reaction. He's more so like, do I really want to do this? Do I really want this to be brought to the big screen? Because once you sell rights to a producer, they can kind of add their own spin to things that can characterize characters in a way that you may not want those people to be characterized. These people, case point being your friends, you don't want them to take it too far and take this one particular character and make them way more than what you originally wrote them to be. So I can understand why he's a little bit hesitant about it. But Jordan is kind of like cheering him on and like, oh, look, go for it. This is a good opportunity for you. This could lead to bigger opportunities for you. Do your thing. And they're more so concerned about everyone's reaction, particularly Lance's reaction and Robyn's reaction about the characterization between her and Harper in the movie. So again, she's just trying to be that supportive friend and encourage him to do what he wants to do. And so I really expected Robyn to kind of walk up any minute now and have an issue with them having that conversation, because in the past you've seen any type of interaction he has with Jordan and she catches it, she gets bothered by it. So I really didn't want to see this continue on in this series of this. I can never be her. I can never replace her. He can never love me the way he loves her. I really didn't want to continue to see that uh characterization between those two women.
Right.
So Jordan's sitting out at the restaurant, and she's trying to order swordfish. She wants to see what swordfish tastes like, and we find out that there is no more swordfish. They're sold out, and she's throwing a fit about it. She's having a little bit of a diva moment about it, and we see this guy
Yeah,
approach
she
her.
was very diva-ish.
Yeah, she was very she was very diva. I'm best friends with the owner of this place. You better go find me a swordfish, or you better go fish for one. I'm like, Is it that
Yeah,
serious?
she was real diva-ish.
Is it that serious? You want the swordfish that bad?
Look, she wanted some swordfish.
She wanted that swordfish. She ended up going with the snapper. So we see that this guy approaches her and says, "I'm sorry, I got the last piece of the swordfish. I haven't bitten into it yet. You're welcome to it or whatever." And he's flirting with her, and she's trying to, you know, brush him off like, "Look, I ain't seen it for you." But really, in reality, she's interested. She's sizing him up, and she's like, trying to collect her thoughts and get herself together because she was having a little bit of a moment because dude was very charming. He came up to her, and he complimented about how beautiful she was or whatever the case may be. So, she was kind of feeling it, but she didn't want to let him know that she was feeling it. So she was like, "Go and get away from me. This ain't what I'm here for or whatever." But I like the chemistry between the two of them. Do you think that there's something going to happen between her and Will?
I mean, I guess that's what they're writing it up, but I don't know. He was annoying me in that first scene. Now, when she met up with him later on, when he was taking the pictures, but in that first scene, he was getting on my nerves.
He was
Like
trying.
I was like her. He was getting on my nerves. Like, sir, ain't nobody talking to you. Like I don't know. He was annoying me. If that had been me, I would have been annoyed by him.
He was trying too hard.
I don't know. It just was like, why are you over here? Like, why are you in this?
Hey,
Like, no, I don't want your swordfish.
He was trying to press up on her. He liked what he saw, so he was a
Yeah, but
little
I'm just saying for me, maybe that's why I'm single now because that was annoying to me.
he was a little too,
That would have
he was a
annoyed
little
me.
too arrogant. He was a little too arrogant, a little too cocky, or whatever the case may be. But he was a
Yeah,
little
it just
flirtatious
didn't.
at
It,
the
it,
same
it
time.
didn't come off as cute to me.
Yeah, it was more of him being arrogant, like, "Yeah, I know I look good or whatever, and I know you want me," type deal. That's kind of the approach that he had towards her, and she was like, "Man, gonna get out of my face." So the fellas are playing cards. And, they just actually they were supposed to be at their groomsmen meeting. That's what they were. They were having their groomsmen meeting, which they were having a
Yeah,
little poker game. And they were just kind of catching up on each other. Of course, God. Murch once again makes some type of reference to being the best man. We see that he
Merch
went
was
out
getting on my nerves too. He was being very annoying.
and extra because he had to went and bought up all the cannabis on the island, all the edibles on the island, and that's when we
Oh
learned.
Lord.
That's when we learned that Q don't smoke weed no more. So you done went and bought up all this stuff for nothing because ain't nobody gonna partake in it. And so they start having a little bit of conversation back and forth. And once again, I felt like this would have been more of an appropriate moment for Harper to go ahead and put the whole movie thing out on the table and let's just have an open discussion about it. But once again, he kind of shies away from the topic, and they start talking about other things, and mostly Murch and his reaction to not being the best man. He's still whining and complaining about that. We see I think this is the first time we are introduced to Quentin's father. I think they referred to him or mentioned him in previous movies, but I think this is the first time we've seen him on camera. And the father he comes across as a typical rich father would be, um, kind of snooty-ish, a little snobbish. And when it's us, it's a different type of feeling. It hit different when we come in and we got our nose up in the air and we look at everyone else as the servants or whatever case may be. And we saw that was his approach to Murch, because he even mentioned something to the fact of Murch marrying a stripper or whatever, and they kind of alluded to him being with Shelby and all this
His
stuff.
father's an asshole.
He's an old asshole.
He is a right. He's an old asshole. Right. Very
Yeah.
entitled. Yeah.
I got
Asshole.
money, you don't. Yeah, very entitled, very, I'm better than you. Look at what I got. Yeah, I agree. That's exactly
Yep.
how the father
Very
comes
much
off.
so.
So we were feeling that. We were reading that the same way. Um, the ladies are on the beach and they're taking in a little the atmosphere and taking in a little sun or whatever. And Robyn turns to Candace, who's trying to work on her acceptance speech for the award that she's going to receive. And Robin's like, I thought that you were going to be on vacation. Like, you're working on this speech 24/7. She I kind of understand why she's so nervous about this because, Murch has asked that she accept the award on behalf of the both of them. So,
Right.
the spotlight is on her. So she's trying to search for the right presentation, the right words, and how to do this. And Robin decides to go take a walk. And I think this scene right here is an important scene as to what's going to happen in future episodes to come. We see that she's very much passionate. I felt like we knew this already, but I think they further reiterated that her love for the food and cooking and things like that. She meets one of the locals on the island that has a little stand, and she tastes the lady food and she falls in love with it. And it just takes her back to her art and her craft and how much she enjoys cooking for others, and using farm to table type things where we're using fresh produce and fresh food and things like that. So she was really enamored with meeting the lady at the cooking stand. um where do you think that's going, or where do you think that's going to go?
I mean, it was definitely there for a reason. It was, it was definitely. I mean, even before you said that, I knew it was going to be something, because even she couldn't stop talking about it later on that night, like how, and then the lady ended up being the cook for the dinner that night that they had. Um, I'm not sure where it's going, but I definitely know it's going to impact some decisions that she's going to make moving forward in her relationship and in her career. I definitely feel that.
Absolutely, that's an Easter egg. So we see Harper finally, Harper and Q kind of have a moment, a one-on-one moment together, and Harper finally kind of addresses his concerns about where Quentin is at right now, him marrying this global superstar. And Quentin looks and pretty much reassures him, but I feel like he was more so trying to reassure himself that, look, this is not an arranged marriage. We love each other. We met, blah, blah, blah. Uh, it's I'm trying to convince my friends, but at the same time, I'm really trying to convince myself, is this what I really want to be? They went down to the pool. Lanston came out here in his birthday suit.
And that's what I mean. Like, he's just being ridiculous. He's talking about something. I thought this was a clothing optional. No, you didn't. Because
Do you
what,
see
nobody
anyone
else
else
naked
around here
but you.
swimming in the nude? Do you see anyone else around here swimming in the
Right.
nude?
Nobody is like I've been to clothing optional places, and like, even if people don't go nude, you know what I mean? There are signs around that will let you know, oh, wait a minute, maybe shirts are optional, maybe da 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 da. Like,
Bottoms are optional, right?
right, like, come on.
And so we realize right then and there that Lance is just completely out of control, and he's feeling himself, and
Absolutely out of control.
he's into himself, and he's really attention seeking. It almost comes across as if he's attention seeking, because you're right. You being who you are and a grown ass man and being aware of your surroundings, you don't see no one else out here with no clothes on, but it just happens to be a group of women that are sitting by the pool right now, and you just decide to drop your robe and jump into the pool. And Jasmine walks up and she's looking at him like, sir, what are you doing?"
Right. She's like, that ain't this type of party. Like, what are you doing?
"Sir, do I need to call security?" Like, if you don't get yourself together. So Robyn and I mean not Robyn, but Jordan and Will have another encounter where he's now got his camera out and he's taking pictures, and she's walking up on her phone, and she wasn't really paying attention to her path in front of her. He takes a picture of her, and she's like, "Did you just take a picture of me?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, I couldn't help but enjoy the view, and I was trying to take a picture of how lovely the view was, and I saw something more beautiful in front of me, and I'm like, oh my god, here you go, trying to lay it on real thick again." And so, she tries to kind of like, um, she tries to kind of like dip into this a little bit and like, let me see where this is gonna go or whatever. But he's like, well, I got some things I need to go do, so I'll holler at you later on, but I'll make sure you get this picture or whatever. So she's trying to figure out, like, do I really want to get involved with this guy? Do I really want to give this dude some
Right.
time? Or, do I need to just go about my business because, he ain't my cup of tea. But we see with this that there's going to be more encounters or interactions between the two of them. They may end up, taking it there, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So it's the night. Well, I don't think it's the night before the. I think it's just a dinner party. They're having dinner.
Yeah, I think it's just a dinner party where they're like introducing, because they're like introducing her to everybody, and the father is there, and you can definitely tell that for the father, this is a business arrangement. Like, this ain't
Yes,
about love.
because didn't he even mention something about looking at the contract from her lawyers
Yeah,
about
and I
the.
don't know if I don't know if that's supposed to be like a prenup or what. I don't even know if I heard the word prenup come out, but there was definitely some sort of like, yeah, it was definitely that.
It was some type of business dealing. It was some type of business
Yeah,
dealing. I didn't get the impression that it was a prenup either. I more so thought it was more of a business dealing because I think she's supposed to be the spokesperson now for the family brand or the hotel brand. She's supposed to be the model or something, spokesperson. So yeah,
right.
that told me right there too that this is an arrangement right here for the father. It really, I'd rather have my son married to a supermodel who's in the family business and all this. So this is PR for him. This is just a marketing cash grab for him. Is to bring
Right.
in her fan base and grow his brand. We see Lance and Jasmine once again have another interaction. She's working the dinner or the reception. They kind of have a moment where there's a bit of an attraction there, and I think it's mutual. I think it's mutual. I don't think that it's like how Jordan and Will is, where Will seems to be more attracted to Jordan, and Jordan is like, ugh, get away from me. I think with Jasmine and Lance, there seems to be a mutual attraction, which was very interesting that he didn't approach her as he's approaching all the other women we see him interact with. All the other women we see him interact with, he's trying to take them down. But with her, he's actually being a bit of a gentleman. He's kind of, slow stepping with her. Why do you think that?
I don't know. I mean, sometimes you meet people and you just have a feeling. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't think that he has that nasty feeling with her right now. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Maybe it's something about her that's familiar, something about her that he feels comfortable around.
Or maybe she can be the replacement for Mia. Maybe he gets Mia vibes from her. The way she presents herself, the way she carries herself.
But I don't know if
We
he's
know that
conscious
she's
of that.
not a
Like, I
top.
don't know if he's consciously a replacement for my wife.
Yeah. Um. What did they get to
Hello?
arguing at the? Yes.
Oh.
What did they get to arguing at the table about? I can't remember. It was
Oh,
something that they got.
they were arguing with Murch about him doing too much with the best man.
Okay,
Remember, she was
because I
like,
knew there was.
she was like, you really need to stop. And he was like, what are you talking
Yeah.
about? And like they basically were telling him that he was doing too much as far as the best man was concerned. And she was like, you're more concerned about being the best man than you are about me struggling with trying to, write this speech for the award. Like she sort of snapped, and Tay Diggs sort of snapped at the same time about the whole, because he kept making them little comments about the best man and the best man. And they were like, bruh, like you
Yeah.
doing too much.
Yeah. Because he was like, well, the best man should have did this, and the best man should have did that,
Right,
right?
right.
And again, like you said, we saw the lady from the restaurant stand, from the little stand. She came up and got Robyn and invited her back to the kitchen, and Robyn was all too excited to jump up and go out there and be in the kitchen. So yeah, they're definitely showing us something with that. I'm not quite sure what they're showing us, but we're definitely going to see where this is going to be important to her character arc. Um, and of course, I knew it was going to be this when Lance and Harper were at the bar. and he chose that to be the moment that he told him about the movie. I
Yeah,
felt
that
like
wasn't the best. That
all
wasn't the best time.
exactly. It was not out of all the other opportunities you had to talk with him about it. Why did you choose that? That was the worst
My
opportunity.
thing is,
That was
right, you had a whole resort that you could have pulled them aside. Y'all could have went down to the beach. You could have took them to a room. You could have took them to the bar, like not in that moment at the bar, but later on. Like it could have been a whole situation. Like, yeah, that could have been done better.
and because of that, he contributed to Lance's blow up because he put that idea back in his mind again. This is after he had don't had the little interaction with Jasmine or whatever. He's there at Quentin's wedding. They're getting married. So all this was just a stroll down memory lane where I was once here. And now, and then when Harper started making the comments about him feeling a little reluctant about this marriage, it just kind of hit a nerve with him. And I'm like, you brought that one on yourself because you shouldn't have said anything to him about that. That was just not the right place or time to address your concerns about the marriage. And two, that wasn't the right time or place for you to bring up that whole movie situation. So you got that little snap at you about that. And you know, Robyn is right there, like, it's okay, babe. It's gonna be all right. Don't worry about it. It'll be okay. You know, because Lance gets mad, he storms off. And Simora and Q, they make this speech that nobody really cared about. And of course, who comes in? What was that they were doing? Some kind of tattoo ceremony that they were doing, and everyone was like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, it was a joint. It was some sort of like joining ceremony or something, and they were getting tattoos. Yeah,
matching tattoos, right?
yeah,
Okay. I thought they had mentioned that. And they, I know the
yeah.
friends' reaction to
Yeah,
it was weird. Yeah,
ain't nobody getting no matching tattoos.
right. What are we, 16? And of course, I knew it. That Shelby was going to show up. I don't know why, but for some reason, I felt like
I knew she was gonna show up too. When, like I said, I knew when Mia had her on FaceTime and she was making comments about what she saw. I said, yeah. And the thing is, remembering in my mind that her and Terrence Howard was hooking up. She had probably been at that damn resort. They
yeah.
probably had a rendezvous and she might have recognized the background or something. I don't know, but I knew. I said, yeah. I said she's sizing this whole thing up.
But for some reason, I just knew that she was going to show up at that dinner. I don't know what made it clear to me or what made it evident that she was going to show up at that dinner. But for some reason, I
Yeah,
just
I
felt
didn't know
like
she was gonna show up at the dinner, but I knew she was gonna show up.
I knew she was coming too. But for some reason, when we got to that dinner scene and they were making that big announcement, I said Shelby's going to crash this wedding. I said she's going to come in there with the camera crew. She's going to come in there and she's going to crash that wedding. Sure enough, she
Oh, I
did.
didn't even think about her coming in with a camera crew. Ooh.
That's what I was expecting to happen.
Man,
That she
that
was
would have
gonna
been
come.
interesting.
Yeah, I thought that's what was going to happen. I knew that she was going to crash that wedding. I just didn't know whether or not she was going to bring that camera crew with her, because I would felt like that would have made for a more dramatic moment if she would have showed up with the cameras. Since they had talked about it on Watch What Happened Live, I just felt like that was going to be a housewife moment for her where she was going to come in and crash the dinner. But she shows up, and we knew right then and there that it's things are getting ready to get interesting now that she's there. And she was not going to leave until she found a way to get in the middle of this wedding. And then that was the end of episode 1. So overall, what did you think about the start off?
I thought it was good. I thought they did a good job of reintroducing us to the characters, establishing where everybody is now, and immediately bringing us into the movie. I like the fact that they didn't draw it out. They didn't try to draw this out. We went right into it. Like, all right, we at the resort. We getting ready for this wedding. You know, so I'm here for it. Like I said, the only reason why I stopped is because I know me when I said I didn't know if I was going to review it on my channel. And I know how I am when I'm reviewing something. If I watch too much of it, then I'm gonna get it all confused, and I'm gonna forget what happened in the first episode and the second episode. So I like to be able to just speak for so. But I'm about to like when we get off of here, I'm gonna go ahead and watch episode 2 now.
I'm gonna watch it again with you. But I think they did. I agree with you. I think they did a very good job setting us up for the story arcs for this series. I think they did a very good job reintroducing us to the characters. And as I mentioned before, I think they did a very good job not taking away from the original character DNA. Like I think everyone's personality, everyone showed up and is exactly what we expected them to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we didn't get no surprise change in characters. You know, some of these other shows we watch from season to season, we see where the characters portrayed differently in different seasons. So I'm not even sure. I haven't even done no research to see if we still have the same writer from the movie that's doing the series. Do you know that or not?
I don't. Well, I know it's the same producer, but I don't know about the writer.
Okay. Well, that's episode 1.
I think it's
guys.
the same producer and same director, but I don't know about the writer.
Okay. Well, that's episode 1. So we'll be back next week to talk about episode 2. I think we're going to do this on Tuesday nights. I think we're going to do it on Tuesday nights, 8:30. So we'll be back next week to talk about it. Drop y'all theories and what y'all thoughts were on episode 1. We're not going to spoil it for Really B because she hasn't watched all the episodes, so we can't talk about things that happen in other episodes. We only going to talk about each episode per each episode. So we appreciate y'all for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.
Wait a minute. Before you hit the button.
But
if you're catching us in a replay, thank you for being here. And don't forget to come back. We got BMF starting up next week. We have Bel Air in February, so we got some stuff coming for y'all. So y'all make sure y'all come back for that. See, you gotta plug it. You gotta plug it.
We gotta plug it in. All right, guys. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us tonight. We'll see y'all next week.